doesn't want to have a debate about protecting children of veterans. There may be a difference of opinion, but why he wants to silence debate on a legitimate issue that child abuse advocates think is relevant to this bill. Look, the underlying legislation is good legislation. Chairwoman Brownlee should be commended for offering it, and Chairman Takano should be commended for bringing it to the markup. But for the life of me, when they have for months told the American people that child care and the lack of adequate child care is a barrier to women's access to health care at the VA, why they would not take up an issue that could be a barrier to women's health care. And here's what the amendment does. Here's what my amendment would simply do. An amendment, by the way, that is endorsed by Prevent Child Abuse Kentucky, the leading child abuse advocacy, prevention advocacy organization in my home state of Kentucky. That is not political, that is legitimate. The issue is this, that if you have a contractor with the VA that is contracted to provide child care services for women or men who are bringing their kids so that they can have time to go see the doctor at the VA, and in the employ of that contractor, you have an employee with contact with these children who has been charged in a court of law for child abuse. We are simply saying in this amendment that vendor, that child care provider be suspended pending the adjudication of that allegation. Now, why in the world would the majority not even want a debate on that legitimate issue about keeping our children safe, keeping our veterans safe? Look, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of members on that committee who are parents. I am a parent of an 8-year-old and a 6-year-old daughters. I would not want my daughters to be exposed to a child care provider that is not suspending an individual in their employ who has been charged with a sex crime or with a crime involving a child. It is a legitimate issue. It is not a political issue. It is about providing women veterans access to health care without concern for their children. And this is a Soviet-style process where they're shutting down debate. Maybe there are legitimate arguments on the other side. I don't know what they are. I don't know what they are. But why they won't even have the debate is crazy. Now, one final point, and that is the process. The chairman's amendment to my amendment was filed after the deadline that he set. So I filed my amendment before the deadline that he set. And he doesn't want debate on our amendment, and so he files an amendment to my amendment that violates his own rules.
What was his amendment?
His amendment does absolutely nothing to protect children. It simply requires the VA to restate or certify that they're following existing current law. And the current law is that they have to do a criminal background check on the people that they employ. Well, that's a good law. I'm glad it's on the books. But simply restating that law doesn't protect our kids if there is someone who, after someone passes a background check, is then charged in a court of committing a crime against a child. So this should not be a difficult issue. There are members on their side of the aisle who have supported this change in the law, this reform in the law, and for whatever reason, the chairman will not allow his members to support my amendment.
The other thing I